Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Steve Erickson, President of the St. Helena Historical Society's Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us for the 2025 Spirits of St. Helena Cemetery Discovery Walk. This year our spirits are some of the pioneers who founded St. Helena, names like Hudson, Griffith, and Elgin, who came from places like Ohio and Missouri. This is one of the Historical Society's most popular programs, and it's the 21st year that we've been presenting this event. The Historical Society also presents the Suzanne Salvestron Lecture Series at the Heritage Center on Oak Avenue, where the parochial school used to be, which are free lectures on local history. You can hear about new lectures and other events if you either join the Historical Society as a member or take a peek at our website. As a member, you'll get a monthly newsletter highlighting new programs and upcoming events. There are membership forms available at the welcome table right over there. We'd also like to invite you to our beautiful museum at the Heritage Center, which is free and open to the public on the first Saturday of each month, and occasionally by appointment from noon to 4. Come and take a look. You'll find a wealth of interesting displays on early St. Helena, including the immigrants and families who settled here. We seek to showcase the Valley's diversity through our exhibits, educational programs, signature events, research services, thanks to our historian, oral history programs, and publications. We tell the stories of our predecessors and help to inform the decisions we make today and about our future. We achieve our mission by collecting photographs, documents, artifacts, books, oral histories, and cultural objects to preserve them for the public. This coming year, the St. Helena will be celebrating its 150th birthday and will be participating in citywide events to honor our history. Please stay tuned to our website, and if you're interested in volunteering, please sign up at the sign-up sheet at our welcome table. We welcome new volunteers, and it's an opportunity for you to meet so many wonderful people, learn about history, and build community. I'd like to give a shout out and introduce you to our research director, Mariam Hansen. Without her, there would be no research, who has organized and led these cemetery walks for all these years. We'd also like to thank our drama director, Patty Coyle, and the St. Helena High School Drama Department for their participation in making the spirits come alive, and I'm not sure where Patty is. Patty?
She's with our students.
Oh, well, you'll see her soon enough. Anyway, thank you all for coming out. It's a nice warm day, beautiful weather. Stay in the shade. And Mariam.
Okay, thank you, Steve, and thanks everybody for coming today. We have 6 skits at 6 different grave sites for you today, and I'll be leading you to each one. Anyone who has any trouble walking, please see John in the golf cart. Where is he? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so John will take you if you have any trouble walking. But our tour today is not as long as some previous ones because our pioneers are buried in the oldest part of the cemetery, so they're kind of close together. So we won't have as much walking as in previous tours, and the tour will be shorter as a result. So the majority of our spirits came across the plains into the unknown, traveling at an average speed of 12 miles per day. The journey took about 4 months, if you were lucky and you didn't run into problems. 2 of our spirits found a different route to California. One was born here in Monterey, Maria Vale, and the other came by sea. And you'll learn more about them on our skits. So our first spirit is just right over here. So let's all move over in this direction.
Girls, we made a great journey. I'm a New Yorker born just outside the city. My family moved to Missouri in 1845.
A city girl moved to Missouri.
Now, your father was an only child born in Tennessee in 1829. Soon he moved to Missouri too.
Lots of people moving to Missouri because that's where the trail started.
My house started across the plains on May 25th, 1846, with 40 other wagons. It was a late start. We bartered with the Indians, saw vast herds of buffalo, and crossed the North Platte River at Casper, Wyoming.
The gold rush news hit our father, and in March 1849 he joined a wagon train of 104 wagons. They arrived in Sacramento on August 16th. Soon he went to mine for gold on the Yuba River.
Father was a 49er in the gold rush to California.
We celebrated July 4th at Laramie, Wyoming. Soon we decided to join the Donner Party, but heard there was Indian trouble on the Oregon trails. So instead, we went to California.
Father told me he visited Calistoga in 1850, then went on a long hunting trip on the Russian Yuba and American rivers. Then he was to David Hustling fence at his fruit orchard.
It was late in the 1846 season. We had to hurry to beat the snow, and the Donners were lagging behind. Finally, we crossed the desert, and we made it to Truckee Lake. Our cattle were losing strength.
The snows caught the Donner Party, and we spent that horrible winter of death near the lake, which was renamed Donner Lake in remembering.
But we made it to Napa Valley. My family settled near what's today the corner of Silverado Trail and Deer Park Road.
They gave their name to the area, Tile Mountain. Father was hired by your grandpa to help build a sawmill on his farm. That is when he first laid eyes on you, Mother.
Sweetling. He was a handsome fella. We got married on May 25th, 1853. 7 children were born to complete our family.
Francis, John, Isaac, Arzelia, Nellie, Minnie, and Phoebe. That makes 7.
Now, the Yount family sold us 200 acres of land on Silverado Trail at Sage Canyon Road. Later, we bought more land, received a U.S. land grant. Soon, we had 600 acres.
What a beautiful farm we had. All our food we grew or raised ourselves. With 7 kids, there was certainly enough help to do the work.
We had a fine orchard and a lovely vineyard. Felt like nothing could go wrong. Till, of course, it did go wrong. William was having crazy fits. He was declared insane and was sent to the Napa State Hospital.
It was a terrible, scary time when Father was sent away.
I was already married, but my heart was broken for you, Mother. Arzelia married Thomas Hardin in 1883, and Minnie married Joseph Leslie.
Some of our descendants are still around, even though I followed your father in 1913. Maybe you know the Hardins of Hope Valley or the Moneys of Oakville.
So the next time you turn from Silverado Trail on the Highway 128 at Sage Canyon Road, think of us. Our house was on the corner of our 600-acre farm long ago.
Okay, well, Maria Soberanis was born in Monterey, so she was a native Californian. When an English doctor shipwrecked on her coast, she was smitten. Dr. Edward Vail and Maria married in Monterey in 1839. And they were granted the land grant that we are standing in right now. So let's hear about them from these ladies.
Vail was a tall, handsome foreigner, and I fell for him right away. We got married in Monterey in 1839. We received the Rancho Carne Humana in 1841.
You left your home and family with a foreigner? Mama, what happened after that?
After that, her father built us a home on Whitehall Lane. There were about 50 Indians living there. George Yount lived south to our land, and Lolita, you are firstborn in 1840.
Then I was born in 1842. Eduardo was born in 1844, Ana in 1845, Juanita in 1847, and Mariano in 1849.
The Yankees declared war on my country. The Yankee rebels invaded Sonoma and took my uncle, General Vallejo, prisoner. They claimed California for the United States and raised their own flag.
Gold was soon discovered in January 1848, but Mexico lost the war in January and May 1848.
But we had more important worries. Your father sold a large part of the rancho and died the following year, leaving me with Lolita, who was 9, Carolina, who was 7, Eduardo, who was 4, Ana, who was 3, and a newborn Mariano.
2 years later, California became part of the United States.
Luckily, the Americans recognized our ownership of the rancho, so I was able to sell land to support my family.
We lived in Sonoma after that, and there, you met Edward Peabody. At 40 years old in 1856, you fell in love again.
Alas, it lasted only 2 years. Then he died in Mexico.
I married a German man from Napa named Louis Bruck. St. Helena was our home in 1880.
That year, I married another German, Charles Krug. He rests beside me right here.
I died in an early age, so I never married. I died in 1868 at the age of 23.
All my other children got married. Juanita married Ruperio Sovarios, Eduardo married Francisco Juarez, and Marino married Anna Morgan.
Americans finally issued official U.S. land grants to our family in 1879, and we had the papers in hand.
Yes. But our old family home was too small, so I added to it. In August, it was almost finished. The St. Helena Heritage Center has a piece of it on display.
Mama, I was so sorry to cause you grief. I died in 1891 of typhoid fever. My husband Charles died in 1892.
I could not live in this country alone anymore, so I left our family home.
My husband died and my family came to San Francisco to live. Mama, you came to live with me for the rest of your days.
Mama's funeral was held at the St. Helena Catholic Church. And now, you rest beside me here forever.
Back to the land that was once ours.
Dimstill Burr Carver came to California by a combination of land and sea routes that was faster than overland, and upon arrival in California he headed to the mines. In 1860 he married Annie Weber, and they soon had 2 children.
I skipped going by wagon across the plains, taking a boat to New Orleans, sailed to Nicaragua, went by donkey across Panama, and caught a ship to San Francisco. I made it in 2 months.
You had great success mining for gold in Yuba, Placer, and Sacramento County.
Sacramento's where I met you, dear wife, where you lived with your brother after coming there in 1858.
DB, we now have 2 children. We need to have a proper home for our family. We can't keep moving from one miner's camp to another, chasing your dream.
Oh, Annie, I know. You've been so patient with me. I just keep thinking, one more mine, one more stake, and I'll get lucky. But I realize now that I owe you, our little Henry, and Laura a place where we can put down roots.
Well, let's leave the mine country for the wine country. There's plenty of opportunity there, in Napa or St. Helena.
I have a surprise for you. When I was on that prospecting trip a few weeks ago, I also traveled to St. Helena and applied for the postmaster's job. They made me an offer. Do you think you can be ready to leave here in 2 weeks?
I'll start packing now. We can be ready to go in 1 week. I can't wait to be in a real town where we'll have a school for our kids and a real home.
I've already started on a new venture, Pellet and Carver. Partnered with Henry Pellet to produce wine in St. Helena. We hope to make 50,000 gallons this year to start.
God help us. 5 years have gone by, now Pellet and Carver is dissolving, and you're now getting into the merchandising business? DB, what do you know about merchandising?
I will learn. You must trust me, Annie. The new store building will be ready by 1867.
I do trust you, DB, but there are some things we can't control. I'm still grieving over the deaths of our Laura and baby Ruth Ann. Last winter's smallpox epidemic showed us how vulnerable we are to disease.
My store is making money, Annie. I'm quickly learning the ins and outs of retailing, although I think I could make a lot more money if I had a bank. People could save money and take out mortgages.
DB, you're always looking for the next big thing. The prospect of gold has driven new immigrants into St. Helena. There's an atmosphere of prosperity here. This community does need a bank.
Business was good, so I added a second story to my building. In 1881, I sold my store and opened my bank. Christopher Hill Gallery is there today.
Carver National Bank. I love seeing your new sign on your new building.
The vault was built out of stone from my own quarry. We opened on May 1st, 1883. Annie, you passed the great beyond a year later. Miss Logan, I understand that you're a great painter. Would you paint a portrait of my deceased wife from this photograph?
Mr. Carver, my father is invested in your bank, and I've known you a long time. Yes, I'll paint a portrait of Annie for you.
Come to my home and I'll set up a studio for you. You can paint there anytime you like.
I'm so glad to be your new companion, though you're twice my age.
After 2 years of loneliness, you became my beautiful wife. I took great care of you.
I was a portrait painter with a thriving business, having the servants make it so I could work.
We had a happy marriage. You gave me 2 sons, Irvine and Joseph.
We had 5 happy years left together, but you were summoned in 1891 to the great beyond.
After my death, Carver National Bank was sold to Bank of St. Helena, which was later sold to Bank of America.
So we're standing in the oldest part of the cemetery. This is Block 1, and the first white folks who came to this area are buried here. The York and the Hudson family. They came together across the plains. Lucinda Hudson married John York, and they were the first folks to settle in St. Helena around 1845. And David Hudson was also in that party. He came across the plains with the Yorks and the Griffiths in the Grigsby Ide party. And on that trip, he fell in love with Frances Griffith, Calvin and Lydia's daughter, and they married when they got here. So let's hear what happened next.
We departed for the wild blue yonder, not knowing what awaited us.
Yes, but we were well prepared with a group of experienced frontiersmen.
We left on April 15th, 1845, with our family Lucinda Hudson and her husband John York from Independence, Missouri.
How'd you know the route and which way to go?
Sister, let them tell it.
We had a party of 400 wagons, but we had brought a large cattle herd and were ordered to leave some of them. Our party of 30 wagons disagreed, so we split apart.
We were now the Grigsby Ide party, led by Captain John Grigsby and William Ide. We reached Casper, Wyoming on July 4th.
On the Green River, we were detained by the Snake Native people.
Weren't you scared of the Indians?
Yes, but we traded with them and they let us pass.
Near Pocatello, Idaho, we met a guide who had been hired by John Sutter to convince emigrants to come to California instead of Oregon. There, Lucinda gave birth to twins.
Auntie Lucinda had twins in the wilderness? No wonder they didn't survive.
The whole wagon train gathered for the burial. It was the saddest day of the trip.
But it wasn't over yet. Then we had to cross the 40-mile desert. We were overjoyed to reach Truckee River. Then we had to cross the Sierra Nevada mountains.
We were hoisted up steep cliffs with ropes, then the wagons and the oxen. Going downhill to Sacramento Valley was hard too.
You must have been so scared. Hanging from ropes and then a steep hill?
We tied trees to the back of our wagon to keep them from running over the oxen. We were the first group to cross the mountains without disassembling our wagon.
Thank God we reached Johnson's Ranch, east of Placerville, on October 15, 1845, the end of the California Trail after a 6-month ordeal.
Then we had to cross the Sacramento River. We built a raft out of trees and freed our entire group across.
I was so relieved to reach Napa Valley and George Yount's ranch. During that journey, you and I fell in love. After we got settled, our wedding was on December 8, 1847.
The asthma finally got to me. I'm sorry that we had to move to the Lake County where it was drier. We sold part of our land to our vineyard manager, William Dagner.
I was 13 when we moved. Lavoni was 19 and Ada was 10.
Well, right away you met that handsome St. Kenyon.
We got married a few years later. Hotel St. Helena became our business.
I married Mr. Wynn and we moved to San Francisco.
There, Father was lucky again by striking silver and being president of the mine. Later, he staked a claim in Calm Valley for a manganese mine.
Our final goodbye to St. Helena was when I sold the rest of our land to Jacob Behringer.
The asthma finally got to you in 1888. Because I'm 12 years younger, I lived on till 1923.
We had a great adventure and a good life.
So as we were saying, the Hudsons and Yorks came across the plains. And Calvin Griffith was also a part of this party, and was his daughter, Frances, who married David Hudson. So it was all in the family. So now we are going to learn about Calvin and Lydia Griffith.
Calvin, when you first left Missouri, did you think the journey would be so hard? What did you think you'd find when you arrived in the Napa Valley?
Oh, Lydia, I was young and looking for adventure. We were the first wagon train to successfully cross the Sierra Nevada mountains. I was attacked by a mountain lion, and a thundering herd of buffalo stampeded our wagon train. We had to build rafts to cross the rivers.
I came after you did with my parents. I mostly remember it being fairly cold or insufferably hot, and always dirty. I was exhausted most of the time.
Shortly after I arrived, I joined the army. After all that hardship, I was ready to fight for my new homeland so we'd be free of Mexico. After that, it was off to the mines to make my fortune.
It was all a big adventure for you, Calvin. Generations of my family were vineyardists in Missouri and Germany before that. We bought land and began planting our vineyard and building our new home.
What a blessing our family is to us. Look, here are our daughters, Mary, Alice, and Clara.
Hello, Father. I have great news. Fred Lober wants to marry me.
Alice, it's not about you. Our parents are telling us how they started out in the Napa Valley.
Well, sorry. Father, please continue.
I didn't strike it rich in the gold mines, but I did make enough money to buy 83 acres north of Rutherford to farm a good-sized vineyard, hay, grain, and livestock.
We planted wheat, hops, and grapes. Later, we moved to the Snowball Farm, which had a new house.
Oh yes, I remember the new house. Al was 8, Alice was 10, and Mary was 12.
I planted Riesling and Zinfandel. They elected me Justice of the Peace, a job I enjoyed.
Father, you were always so busy, and us girls had to help around the house.
We have 8 wonderful children who have continued to build on our success. They've bought more livestock and increased the yield from our vineyard.
You were heartbroken when we lost the twins. Our 4 boys and 4 girls all stayed in the Napa County.
I married William Taplin, ancestor of a St. Helena Historical Society volunteer. We ran the Taplin Dairy on Sierra Trail.
My turn now. Fred Lober bred champion horses and came from a rich Eastern family. We got married in 1880.
I don't want to talk about my 2 marriages. They ended tragically.
Let's talk about something else.
Do you remember the time you went up to Clear Lake after Kelsey and Stone were murdered by the Indians? That was the time they found Kelsey's head stuck in the window of their cabin.
Who could forget that? Kelsey and Stone were killed because they starved and beat Indians who worked for them. This was an offense that could not be overlooked. This is their land. They're sharing it with us, and we want to live side by side in peace and harmony.
I was so frightened when you left. I was afraid the next time I'd see you, it'd be your head on a fence.
We surrendered to them with hands up and met with the chief. Funny, but I was never afraid. Even after all that we went through, crossing the plains and all, I always knew that we would be fine.
So here we rest with our family around us. A fine community has been built in St. Helena, and the vineyards are beautiful.
I'm so glad I rested you after what I went through.
I'm here too.
That makes 3.
Welcome to the Elgin family. William and Mary came across the plains together in her family's, the Andersons, wagon train. Let's hear what happened next.
We celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary right here on the front porch of our house on Oak Avenue.
It's hard to believe. On March 12, 1851, we started out in Howard County, Missouri. I was just a baby.
What a journey we had with your uncle and his wagon train. Took us 5 months to get to California with our 500 head of cattle. We lost many animals along the way.
You must have been so happy to finally make it to St. Helena. You and Father raised 6 children here and had a number of businesses.
That is true. We started out raising cattle. Then Father opened a general store. Later, we had a vineyard and grew grapes. Then we opened 2 livery stables, one on Main Street, one on White Sulphur Springs. Ira and Clarence eventually took over those.
Yes, but let's not forget all of Father's years of service to this community. It all started when he was elected county supervisor.
Yes, that was just the beginning. He was elected deputy county assessor. In 1870, he was appointed to the school board. My husband was justice of the peace 4 times in a row.
Don't forget, in 1885, Father was appointed to city council for 5 years. Father was deputy assessor for St. Helena, and he was appointed postmaster.
Your father was a busy man and a notary public for 20 years, town treasurer for 15 years, and he served on this year's cemetery board for 15 years.
Which role was his most memorable?
Well, I would have to say his 8 years as justice of the peace. He spent most of his cases dealt with public drunkenness, disturbing the peace, fighting, and burglary.
Didn't you have some problems with the Chinese residents?
There was a case of a Chinese gambling house. 13 Chinese men were marched to the jail. Then one night, we arrested 2 white men from San Francisco who were looking for and found an opium den.
I'll never forget his last year of Justice of the Peace and that awful night of lynching. What a horrible and frightening event.
It all started when some men who had been drinking visited the Pink Saloon.
They were told to leave, so they grew angry.
Someone threw a rock at the window, striking Jack Rat. He pulled out his gun and shot, injuring one of them.
The injured man, Bud Van, died shortly after. Jack Rat was arrested for murder and jailed.
If only that had been the end of the story. I remember hearing a knock after midnight.
Father opened the door to find 15 masked men who demanded the keys to the jail. They threatened your father and forced the keys from him.
The vigilantes took Jack Rat from the jail that night. He was found the next day hanging by the bridge by Behringer's winery.
To this day, no one has ever been arrested for the crime. No one talked. They just took the law into their own hands.
I can say, looking back over the years, your father and I lived a long and useful life here in St. Helena. I was lucky to have him and y'all by my side.